Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Martin, and this presentation is titled Case Study, and it is module number 12. Known facts of the case. I, Mr. Keith Sample, have served as principal of St. Regis for the past 3 years. I've worked diligently to establish rapport with staff and community members that were not the most welcoming to outsiders. It's just a very small, tight-knit community that is somewhat distrusting of outsiders. Uh, Limited funding is available for the schools, so basically the schools rely on two fundraisers established by the PTO, two fundraisers per year, just to supplement some of the income that is received by the government. And their purpose is stretching the available funds as much as we can. Mrs. Lynn, who is the library media specialist, made copies of a newly purchased software to provide access for student use in all classrooms. So we had purchased this software that had limited use. Miss Lynn had developed a way to make copies of that so that we could distribute it out to all of the grade levels appropriate accordingly. Mrs. Evans, the PTA president, also assisted with the copying of the programs. Mrs. Brendan, who is a new teacher at St. Regis, reported her concern to me of the copied programs, and she refused receiving them from Mrs. Lynn. She is new to this district. She came here from another area where she served for about approximately 2 years. And her superintendent at that previous school was very strict with copyright policies. So she informed me of this and said that she's not comfortable receiving the copies of the program. So she notified myself of the copying of the programs. Mr. Sample, myself, I was previously unaware of the copying of the software. I advised Mrs. Lynn to retrieve the copies and not make others due to the legal ramifications of copyright violations for herself and the school district as a whole. Next, legal and ethical concerns. So the guiding principle here is that it is imperative that educators read the software's copyright page and understand the licensing restrictions. So there was a breach of contract, yes, because the software was copied and distributed without permission from the author. This put the school and the individuals responsible for making the copies at risk of a copyright infringement lawsuit. It is not clear from the reading whether or not a policy was in place for the school district regarding appropriate internet and technology use. The reason that is important is because it is not known at this point whether or not Ms. Lynn violated a policy with the school. Synthesized statement. Although I am relatively new to the district and am actively trying to ensure community and staff support, a violation of copyright has been committed and needs to be appropriately addressed to prevent legal ramifications for the school. Synthesizing the facts of the case. So the people involved are Mr. Sample, myself, Mrs. Brandon, Mrs. Lynn, Mrs. Evans, teachers that hope to receive a copied program, students in grades K through 8 that will not have independent access to the program, community individuals that work very hard to provide the necessary funds to the school to supplement the minimal funding received by the government. The place. So this is a rural community and school with limited resources. Most additional resources are provided by fundraisers organized by the PTO. Program. So this is a software program that aligned with the objectives of as many grade levels as possible, in particular grades K through 8. Due to copyright laws, the program will be limited in availability to the teachers of the public school, and students will no longer or will not be provided independent access to the programs. Review and prioritizing of information. The case could result in a copyright infringement lawsuit from the author of the software program. All school employees and individuals responsible for copyright infringement and/or knowingly accepting the copied materials are at risk for copyright violations. The teachers will no longer have access to the materials that they were told they would have access to with the copied materials. The students will no longer have independent access to the software. So we have three options to consider. Option number 1. No further action is required. This option relies on faith that Mrs. Lynn successfully retrieved and destroyed all of the copies of the software program, for which she did not have permission to create. Option number 2. Request permission from the author of the software program to make duplicate copies for use within the school and establish a contract with the author that limits the number of copies to be made and places parameters on the distribution and use of such copies. Place Mrs. Lynn on administrative mandated leave to investigate the situation and portray to fellow staff that this behavior is unacceptable. Option number 3. Request permission from the author of the software program to make duplicate copies for use within the school and establish a contract with the author that limits the number of copies to be made and places parameters on the distribution and use of such copies, or to request additional copies at a discounted price. Next step is to develop Internet Acceptable Use Policy for the district, which highlights accessible use of the Internet, software programs, and other technology-related concerns for a school that may lack such policies due to not previously exhibiting a need for such policies and procedures. Also, provide an annual professional development session which covers the topic and require the signing by staff and students of an Internet Acceptable Use Policy contract. This policy would outline proper usage and discuss potential consequences for misuse. Evaluation of options. Option number 1. This option fails to adequately address the current situation, nor does it provide guidance to prevent its future recurrence. Option number 2. This provides consequences to Mrs. Lynn for violating copyright. However, to my knowledge, there was no policy and procedure in place for the district that she violated regarding the copying of the software program. Providing a punishment for a situation that could be remedied and properly addressed, while considering that there was nothing contractual in place that Miss Lynn violated, seems to be a bit harsh and not aligned with my efforts to maintain rapport with the community and staff. Requesting permission to produce copies or receive additional copies at a discounted price to be used within the school was included in this option, which I feel is a valid request. Option number 3. Requesting permission to produce copies or receive additional copies at a discounted price from the author to be used within the school was included in this option, which I feel is a valid request. Developing an Internet Acceptable Use Policy, providing an annual in-service for the policy, and requiring the signing of a contract regarding the policy is a way to ensure adherence to acceptable Internet use. This then allows for consequences if the policy is not followed by staff. This option is most aligned with my efforts to maintain rapport with the community and staff. So, the best option. Given the circumstances and concern for all stakeholders, I feel that option number 3 is the best option for this case. If a policy was not in place for acceptable use of software, then it does not seem fair to implement consequences for violating a copyright agreement when Mrs. Lynn might not have been aware of the severity of the issue. This sends a message to all stakeholders that you would like to be fair and provide knowledge of the wrongdoing without shaming individuals that may not have been aware of the possible repercussions of their actions. This option also involves reaching out to the author of the software program to request permission to make copies or receive a discounted price for copies, which would address the need that Mrs. Lynn was attempting to address. A final benefit to this option is that it reduces the likelihood of this case's recurrence by implementing a policy for acceptable use of the Internet and technology, providing training to educate and communicate the policy, and requiring staff to sign a contract agreeing to abide by the rules established in the policy. Implementing option number 3. In an effort to quickly address the situation and acknowledge the case's severity, I would host an emergency staff meeting to discuss the incident. The effort would be to educate staff on the proper use of the internet and technology while also disclosing the school's stance on the topic and our plan to prevent its future recurrence. There will be no discussion of blame as to not call attention to any participating parties, copiers of the program or receivers of the copied programs. Next, we will contact the author of the program to determine if we can make a limited number of copies or obtain a discount for duplicates. We will then work diligently to develop a policy for appropriate internet and technology use and a contract acknowledging its content and certifying one's obligation to adhere to the policy. This policy will be discussed annually during a professional development session. This concludes my case study, and here are the references utilized for this case study. Thank you very much.